How to apply for a business credit card using your EIN number only. Interestingly, most people think that they need to use their personal social security number and provide a personal guarantee to get business credit. In this episode, we're going to discuss why that's not always the case. In this episode, we're going to discuss the personal benefits of keeping your personal and business expenses separate, and why not doing so could actually ruin your life. Next, we'll discuss the benefits of attaining business credit using your EIN only and not providing your personal social security number. Then we'll discuss building your business credit in such a way that you only use your EIN and it circumvents the personal guarantee. Okay, so the first subject that we're going to talk about is this issue of commingling funds. And this is quite a big issue for small business owners. The reality is that as a small business owner, we create our entity as an LLC. And the whole purpose behind creating an LLC is this idea that it's its separate entity. And what that means is it means that no matter what happens to my business, if I get sued, if I have to file bankruptcy on the business, it's separate from my personal situation. And what ends up happening if I commingle my funds is I'm mixing personal expenses and personal costs with my business expenses. And that can be problematic because if you're trying to show this separation, that I'm actually separate from my company, let's say the worst happens to your company, it's going to be really hard to do that if you're mixing business and pleasure. Another reason why you don't want to mix personal and business funds really is because if you're heavily utilizing your personal credit to float your business, there's a good chance you're overutilizing everything on your personal credit. And if you know anything about personal credit, utilization of credit is around 30% of your credit score. I can guarantee you that if you're overutilizing your personal credit for business purposes, your credit score is not going to be where it should be. So you're essentially destroying your personal credit to build your business credit. Now, more said to that, you're going to have to take on some debt. We're going to have to leverage our business in the way of debt in order to grow our business. In almost all situations, it doesn't matter what your small business is, you're going to want to get to a certain level. And if you're relying on the cash flow that's coming in, it's going to be very difficult. You're going to have to utilize business credit in order to grow your business in almost all cases. Another issue if you're commingling funds is this idea of filing your taxes. If all of your business and your personal blend together, at the end of the year when you're trying to show profit for your company, but you can't differentiate your profits from what you've spent on the personal side, from what the business made, it's an absolute nightmare. You're probably going to have to hire a CPA, and I guarantee you that CPA is going to charge you a lot of money to try to figure out what's legitimately a business expense and what's on the personal side. Now, keep in mind that in order for you to get business funding, you're going to have to keep immaculate records. It's fair to say that every creditor is going to want to see financial statements and bank statements, and they're going to want to see how profitable you are. They're going to want to see all the records, and if your records are a mess, then of course that's going to be telling as to the kind of business that you do, right? So what are the benefits tied to getting business credit in your EIN only? Well, the first benefit, and the most obvious, is that you take away the personal guarantee. You take away the liability from your personal situation. In other words, it's all done in the business name. Much like I was referring to in the last segment, you want to keep your company separate from your personal, so if the worst happens, they can't come after you personally. Another really big benefit, and we're going to go into this a little further, is of course that you preserve your personal credit score. Again, we already talked about this, but the business credit that you get for your business is going to stay on your business credit report. Most people, including myself when I started my first company, had very limited knowledge of business credit reporting and what that looks like. In fact, if you can get all of your funding, credit cards, revolving accounts, and all of your supplies and everything you need for your business, if you can get all of those things only to report to the business credit side of things, it's going to stay away from your personal situation and you're going to be able to build all of your business credit with all of those different accounts. Now, when it comes to business credit, realize that it's done very differently than what you're used to on the personal credit side of things. First of all, on the personal credit side of things, you've probably seen the pie chart. There's a percentage of things that are allotted to different categories, and that's what makes up your credit score. On the personal side of credit, it's very pragmatic, and there's a lot of things that will count against you. On the business side of credit, there's only one thing they're looking at. They're looking at, do you pay your bills on time? And so what that means for you is that where on the personal credit side of things, if you max out your credit card, you actually get penalized. But on the business side of credit, they don't take into account that you just maxed out that $50,000 credit card that you have. In fact, they don't even care about that. They don't care about inquiries. The business credit score goes from 0 to 100 on Paydex, and all they're interested in is, are you paying your bills on time? If you pay them on time, you get an 80. If you pay them above, before the time due, you can be in the 90s area, it goes up to 100. That's the only single metric. It's really important to understand that because on the business credit side of things, it's not only that you can get 100 times more funding. As an example, you might be qualified for a $1,000 credit card on the personal side of things. On the business side of things, it might be $50,000, right? So the business credit side of things allows for a lot more funding. And as far as stringency is concerned in terms of credit scoring, again, they're only concerned with the one metric. Before we get into building business credit and looking at lines of credit, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be working hard to bring you weekly videos concerning credit, lending, business funding, and other relevant personal finance topics. Many people get denied for business credit, and there's several reasons for that. They've gotten denied because their personal credit's not too good, or they think that maybe they don't have enough cash flow, or they think their business credit is not built out enough, when the reality is that it might be something that's way more petty than that. When it comes to business credit, one of the biggest issues that they have with issuing business credit is the fraud problem. The reality is that so many people apply for their EIN and create LLCs. Very few of those actually ever get to the place where they're profitable. And even less of those make it to the 5-year mark, right? So the biggest issue is are these real companies or are they fake companies? So there can be a number of problems just with your fundability foundation. There can be an issue such as the information that you started your LLC with doesn't match your application with what they find on the Secretary of State's information. It could be something as simple as your website is either outdated or non-existent. Perhaps you're using a personal Gmail account instead of an actual business email account. Maybe you're using your personal cell phone as your business cell phone instead of an actual business line. It can be a number of different things that you get denied for. On the personal credit side of things, they're required by law to let you know why you were denied. On the business credit side of things, not so much. They don't have to give you a reason. There is no law that says they can deny you and have to tell you some sort of reason. Okay, after you make sure that your business foundation is actually intact and you've hit these metrics, and there's a lot more metrics there, I just gave you a few of them, you want to make sure that your business credit reports are first of all in existence, and then secondly, they have the same information that you have on this Secretary of State's information for your LLC. So you want to reach out to Dun & Bradstreet and get your DUNS number. You also want to check Experian and Equifax to make sure that your business credit reports are set up there as well. After you've got all this set up for yourself, you're going to start the business credit building process by using vendor accounts. These are going to be the easiest accounts to get. A couple of really good ones that I recommend for everybody is that you go with Uline and you go with Granger. They're going to accept you, and you're going to be able to order something online that's going to give you some kind of supply that you need for your office, paper products, and various other items that can supply your office perhaps, or maybe supply some other part of your business that you may need. But what ends up happening is that you actually start your business credit profile. Now, it doesn't start right away like it does with personal credit. Usually within personal credit, you get that line of credit or that credit card, and within 30 days it's reporting. For business credit, again, there's no standards of when they report. It can take up to 3 months. So after you get the Uline or Granger going, once you've ordered something, made your first payment, it can post somewhere between 30 and 60 days after that. I always tell my clients, wait the 90 days before you have any reasonable expectation that you're going to actually pull information from your business credit reports. Now, I do recommend that you get at least 3 vendor accounts. Once that's accomplished and it's reported to the business credit bureaus, there's going to be a lot of different opportunities for you. High limit revolving credit cards are what's next. Also, fleet gas cards. A couple of good options for these are going to be TA Petro and Office Max, just to name a couple. I'm going to recommend that you get 3 more accounts in this specific area to help build out your credit. There's actually a couple more tiers where you begin to build out your credit even further and you really start going after those financial institutions. There are so many more opportunities on the business side of things to build out your credit than there are on the personal side of things. I mean, there are a ton of them, and the offerings are huge. Imagine if you had a moment in your business to where you had so much business credit that cash flow was no longer a problem. If you were behind, let's say $50,000, $60,000, you could easily cover it with one of your credit cards. Or you could get some type of business funding loan to help you meet the gap, right? Right now, we're going into a recession. Almost all small business owners that I know are having a hard time. Sales are starting to go down. People's disposable income is gone. And so they're spending less. I know that we hear that we're not necessarily really in a recession. We are. And small businesses tend to feel it first. When you've got big corporations that are laying off lots and lots of people, preparing for what's coming in the next quarter, you know that things are happening. Now the issue is that small business owners, when it's good, they love to spend. They love to take this money, it's raining down money, and they go buy nice cars, bigger houses, all this stuff, but they don't remember, or maybe they don't have the experience to know that when the recession hits, your sales are going to be cut in half, maybe minus 25% of what you normally have. And that's big problems if you built out your team and you're used to spending a certain amount. The trick is to build out your business credit so that when these recessionary times come or hard times come, you've already built out your business credit. All you have to do is use the credit card that you have. Or perhaps you can get a cash flow loan. Or perhaps you can get a collateralized loan. Or maybe you can just get a loan based on the business credit altogether. But if you don't begin to build these things out way in advance, when the bad times come, and they will come, you're going to be scrambling to try to get funding. Right now, on the business side of things, we are having a tremendous amount of people that are calling us looking for funding. The problem is that they didn't put in the work to begin with. So they don't have business credit profiles. Their foundation is not set up correctly. We've got all these issues. And guess what? On the personal side of things, they've completely maxed out their personal credit, right? So their personal credit looks terrible as well. So what can you do for someone that's in that situation? Fortunately, not much. Not much. It's really sad, but not much. So the trick is to prepare ourselves way ahead of time so that when these times happen, and they inevitably will happen, we're prepared, we're ready to go. We just flick a switch and we've got the funding that we need. If building your business credit and business funding is something that interests you, please click the link in the description below. I have a free gift for you. It's going to be a 4-step guide to build your business credit.